You can see, and as Williams gets the ball, and here's a nice pop laid on him. Unfortunately, didn't bring the ball carrier down, and that's what size can do for you. Getting the first hit was Jenkins, and finally get some help. But again, size doesn't mean you're going to win every encounter, but it gives you an edge, and it gave Williams the edge there.
5 yards for Williams on that play, brings up 2nd down and 5. Earp hands it off again up the middle. This is Costello. Breaks a tackle of Forrest. Nisbet and company finally bring him down at the 41 of Catoctin. So another big ramble there for DJ Costello. 14, 15 yards on the pickup.
You see Costello runs out of an arm tackle there, and again, this time Forrest didn't get a chance to get up any head of steam, and he was smaller. That one he lost. He stood in there and took the hit and actually got back in on the tackle, but Costello gets first down yardage.
Costello off the left side. Big yardage again. A first down run for Costello, down close to the 30, 11 yards on the pickup, and a penalty marker is down. Face mask against the Cougars, so they'll tack on more.
Right, it was just maybe barely a first down. You can see Costello again there. You can't really arm tackle him. You've got to get a shoulder into him too, and it's taken 3 ball carriers to bring any of those fullbacks down. 3 tacklers.
This is going to be the 15-yard face mask penalty. So that'll move the ball down to the 16, 17-yard line.
So far on this drive, started off at the 39, 3 plays later, ball's moved 44 yards downfield, including the penalty.
In a very quick amount of time. Fake to Costello, big rush! Pass completed. And a touchdown for the Knights. So they've scored their 4th of the night. Lee Palmer on the receiving end of the Earp pass. Has he missed one yet?
No, he hasn't yet, and I think we've got him 5 for 5. Palmer, 5'6", 150. In amongst those big fullbacks, he maybe got a little bit lost out in the pattern after the quarterback Earp did a good job of evading the rush, and credit him for keeping the poise to find that receiver who may not have even been the primary receiver in that pattern.
Earp looks like a veteran varsity quarterback. As I mentioned before, he did play and start all the games last year for the JV, but this is only his 2nd start as a varsity QB, and he looks like a seasoned veteran out there, especially when the first option's not available on the pass. He's done very well at improvising. Here's Zach Denton. Maine to hold. 28-0 Middletown. 7:08 remaining, first half.
That drive, 4 plays, 61 yards, aided by a 15-yard penalty. But even if you toss out the penalty yardage, still well over 10 yards of play. And this is a kind of a catch-22 situation for Catoctin. They're not as big, they're not quite as deep, and their same defensive players keep getting pounded by fresh fullbacks. You can see the play action, good pressure. Earp evades and then gets the pass off. A bit of a wobbler, but Palmer's there. He's going to just get into the end zone here. Nice hit on the run support coming up there by Kreitz.
And James Bradfield was one who applied the pressure on Earp and made him scramble. Bradfield going for the sack, nearly had himself one.
And credit to Kreitz there. I mean, that's a play that's right down near the goal line. He could give up on that. His team's down 3 scores, but he came and did his best and laid on a pretty good hit. Palmer just had enough to get into the end zone.
So the Knights will tee it up again. 28-0 the score in the first half. Chris Strovel is sitting in for a vacationing Jay Combs, and we certainly appreciate Chris being with us tonight. It's a pleasure.
Now, Jay didn't go to the Carolinas this week, did he?
I don't think so.
Not.
If he did, he'd be back. So Denton tees it up. Stahl and Nesbitt back deep this time. It's a Stahl from the 17. Cuts back to the middle of the field. And Stahl is down at the 30-yard line. An 11 or 13-yard return by Jeremiah Stahl.
Well, Stahl does a little bit of everything, runs the ball, returns kicks, listed as a defensive tackle in the starting lineup. Not too many defensive tackles run about 160 as he does. And we'll see him more on offense as the game goes along, because Catoctin, with the first down their last drive, wants to get some more first downs here and get something out of the first half.
The pitch to Stahl, following his blockers, and Stahl plows his way out for 4 yards out to the 34. So good push there by the Catoctin offensive line. Dillon made the stop for Middletown.
Well, if you get 4 yards every time, it might take you a while, but you get downfield. You can see one of the blockers there getting pancaked by one of the defensive players, but Stahl, good job of just following that surge.
2nd down and 6 for the Cougars from their own 34. Pitch, Seidel, or Forrest rather, for 3 yards off the left side. So 7 yards on 2 carries on this drive.
And you can see the end there with some penetration forces Forrest to cut it up maybe a little bit more inside than he wanted back into the pile, but he still did get a few yards. A good time to get a conversion here. The Cougars' previous first down was on a long run by Seidel. Now 3rd and short, chance to get something going.
So the Cougars have yet to convert on 3rd down. See if they can do it here. A fumble. They lost it on the exchange, and Catoctin maintains possession, but they lost a yard, so it's going to bring up 4th down and 4.
That's the same thing, or close to the same thing that happened on 3rd down, a fumble previously on the first drive for the Cougars. And you can see this one doesn't even get downfield right at the exchange, and it pretty much kills that drive there.
So Jenkins is in punt formation again for the Cougars. Lavely back deep with Maine. Line drive kick. Maine chases it down at the 34. Maine swings it outside, breaks a couple of tackles. And Maine with a nice return to the Catoctin 42-yard line.
Now the Cougars had a couple of players that could have brought him down after about 15 yards, but he just had enough elusiveness. You can see he fields the punt going backwards. Looks for the wedge to set up. He's got Lavely out there to block in front of him. He chooses to cut it right, and then you see some pursuit here. A couple of players almost take themselves out. He's going to make another cut, and finally coming back, Stahl, who's been on seemingly most plays, knocks him down.
24-yard return by Maine. And Middletown starts its possession in Catoctin territory at the 42. Costello knocked backwards by 3 Cougars. Jenkins, Stahl, Nesbitt, and Bradfield all in there. 4 Cougars.
You can see Stahl gets a high five as he heads back to the huddle. You can see actually it looks like Costello may have run into his own blocker there, and that gave the Cougars some of the help they needed. And you can bet they want to get as many guys to the football as they can with the size of those Middletown fullbacks.
Costello's not the kind of guy you want to get up ahead of steam. You want to stop him either at or behind the line of scrimmage. Earp on the option play. He'll take off. And Stahl makes the stop at the 39-yard line. He had help from Seidel.
Well, I think we've called Stahl's name on about each of the last 5 plays for the Cougars. He seems to be everywhere, lines up inside the line, and here he still pursues down the line. You can see Earp makes a pretty early decision to keep it, and he turns it upfield, also coming in for help on the tackle with Seidel.
Timeout for the Knights with 4 minutes exactly on the clock. That's the time left in the first half. 28-0, Middletown with the lead. 4 different players have scored for the Knights, including Lavely, Williams, Costello, and Palmer, and they've done it with 2 passes and 2 runs, so they've mixed it up very nicely here tonight, and they've had a solid effort from the quarterback, Jake Earp.
Yeah, Jeff, you and I really kind of both thought coming in when you're going with a quarterback that's number 3 on your depth chart, and you are so good at running the ball that's kind of where you'll stay, and really that's where they have stayed primarily, but they've mixed in more pass than maybe we thought, and when they've done it, it's been very effective so far, knock wood. haven't seen an incomplete.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Ambrose before the game, and he said, yes, you're right, Jeff. We're going to primarily run the football. He didn't say anything about this passing attack.
Well, coaches, and it's not that they'll, tell people things that they don't think are true. It's just that strategy changes as the game goes along. And, after he saw Earp connect on that first touchdown pass, he thought, hey, well, let's
Let's try it again.
Right.
Because they tried it again about 6 times. He's 6 for 6.
If we could do his quarterback rating, it would be pretty high.
Definitely over 100. No interceptions, two TDs, and no incompletions. First down at the 39. Earp in trouble. And Earp taken to the turf. Tackle made by Matt Roberts.
You can see Earp is going to take it. Little play action there, and he thought about pitching it, but he was about to get hit. It was probably better for the Knights that he didn't. I think the Cougars might have gotten away from a bad formation there, because one of the coaches up here in the box, I don't think he liked the defensive matchup, and we could kind of hear that, but it worked out okay. This for the Cougars, unless we see a fake punt or something, will be their first stop.
4th and 8 from the 41. Low snap. Costello with the kick. And it'll go out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So the Cougars defense holds for the first time.
Yeah,
and maybe that'll give them a little bit of momentum.
Well, they had the one first down on the long run by Seidel. And here's a chance to not only get a few first downs and maybe think about opening it up, getting the end zone, but you try and open it up too much, and it's not something that you've done a lot or very well. It could lead to some turnovers and make it even a tougher situation.
So here come the Cougars. And a couple of yards straight ahead. Out to the 34-yard line as Seidel picked up the yardage. Dillon made the stop for Middletown.
And again, a pretty fair first down game. We've seen a couple of those, and you can see just a big old kind of a rugby scrum coming out of that double wing offense. And you can see there are no receivers out wide, so everybody is in tight.
Pitch to Stahl. And he gained maybe 1 yard before he's pushed backwards. Fritz and company there. Sam Williams, who doubles and plays defense as well.
Credit to Nesbitt there. He gave the handoff, and then he went back and tried to become a lead blocker, and you can see him flying past the pile on the screen. I mean, there hasn't been any quit on the Cougars, that's for sure. And these guys like Nesbitt and Stull and Seidel.
3rd down and 5. Back to pass. Oh, and Forrest almost recovered and made the catch after he tipped it. Lavely and Main on the coverage, but that was a good-looking ball by Nesbitt.
Yeah, it was, and it was almost a highlight reel kind of play. You can see a nice adjustment at the end of the route to try and come back for it. Nesbitt gets it up. Nice little spiral. You're right, Jeff. And you can see Forrest come back inside, and probably one, as he replays that in his mind, he's going to say, I needed to have that. Nice adjustment to come back and getting a chance to get 2 hands on it.
4th and 5. Big rush, and Jenkins was hit. He does a smart thing going down, but no flags. And Maine returns it out to the 43. So Middletown again with excellent field position.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to do. 4 touchdowns up, a little under 2 minutes. If I can read the backwards reflection off of the glass on this side.
All right, 148, you got it.
That was 8:41, and I didn't think you'd do that.
You knew we'd progress further in the second quarter than that. Williams and Costello are the backs. The pitch goes to DJ. Costello tripped up at midfield. 8 yards on the pickup for Costello. Forrest made the stop for Catoctin.
And again, the old saying was 3 yards in a cloud of dust for the Knights. It's been more like 8. You can see, gets some blocking out in front, chooses to cut it around Maine just barely. Forrest is there to try and trip him up, and he'll get credit for the tackle.
Yeah, Forrest wouldn't have got that hand on the ankle. Costello may have run a lot further.
Well, another one of his teammates in the secondary might have been black and blue.
Earp with the pitch after the fake. Costello with a lot of room to roll. And had he not run into his own player down at the 30, he may have gotten more. Cutsale was applying a block downfield, and Costello ran out of room.
Well, Costello's gotten the ball both times here on this drive, and we've seen that a couple times from the Knights. You can see the pitch there. The two defensive players commit to the quarterback, and there's nobody on the corner. Costello reads one block, and you're right, Jeff, just ran up his other blocker's back. Tough to read sometimes.
18 yards on the run by DJ Costello. Under a minute to play in the half. Earp looks to throw. He rolls left. Big rush, and the Cougars get him this time. Big Steve Smith, along with Seidel and Wyville and Roberts. They were all there for the Cougars.
Well, a good idea by Earp here to not try and throw this ball and make something happen. You've got a big lead. No need to force something and maybe make a mistake that could lead to an interception. He just kind of tucks it down as he sees this big blue wall in front of him. He'll take the loss. 2nd and 18. Again, the way Middletown runs the ball, this is not an unmakeable down and distance.
20 seconds left. Costello on the sweep, and he's tripped up. Good open field tackle by Forrest down at the 30-yard line. And it looks like time may run out on the Knights. They will not stop it. That's the end of the first half. The Knights with 4 touchdowns, 2 passing and 2 running. 4 different players have scored for Middletown as they lead Catoctin at the half. We're back with more after these messages. The Catoctin Cougars and Middletown has put on quite an offensive show. They have 2 touchdowns running the football and 2 TDs passing. And Chris, Jake Earp, the quarterbacks, put in a fine effort this evening, and DJ Costello with over 100 yards on the ground.
Well, Costello 113 yards by my chicken scratch and only on 10 carries, so 11 yards a pop. When you get a first down on average when you touch it, you figure the scoreboard's going to be in your favor. A guy we saw early on in the first half wasn't carried much late. Brian Moore, 3 carries, 30 yards. And one of the other big fullbacks, Sam Williams, 6 carries, 52 yards. Middletown, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200-plus yards on the ground. And Earp, the quarterback, like you mentioned, just 6 passes. They've all been complete for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's also showed some good decision-making in terms of a couple of times when he decided not to throw, and also when he's running the option. Sometimes, you know, you get a quarterback who hasn't played a lot of varsity competition. He might pitch it too soon. I mean, that's kind of a dangerous play if you think about it, with a quarterback who's in his first varsity start, but he's made all the right decisions, and hence the 28-point lead for the Knights.
And Earp has used 5 different receivers for his 6 receptions. He's spread the ball around nicely, and they've used a bevy of running backs. And some of those Cougar captains out there have put in a fine effort this evening as well. Forrest and Stahl the running back, and Forrest has played very well defensively, and he's also carried the load somewhat offensively.
Well, those have been the 2 guys in Stahl. There was a series of about 7 or 8 plays in a row where offensively and defensively we were mentioning his name on every play. Also, Seidel has had a good ball game. He had the 19-yard first down run, which was really the bright spot so far for the Cougars in the first half, and their only first down of the first half is 25 yards.
So the Knights head back onto the field, and the Cougars should get the ball to begin the second half. Middletown didn't take very long to get their first score, just 1 minute and 28 seconds, as they had good field position to open the game. And then Ken Lavely received a pass from the quarterback Earp from 8 yards away for the first touchdown. Sam Williams had a 3-yard touchdown run to make it 14-0 after the point. Zach Denton, of course, with 3 extra points tonight, and Maine with 1. And then DJ Costello rumbled for 15 yards away in the second quarter. And Lee Palmer had a 16-yard pass reception from Jake Earp for the 4th and final touchdown of the first half for the Middletown Knights. So that's where we stand now. Denton is teed it up, and he's ready to kick to the Cougars, who started to run the ball a little bit better late in that second quarter.
They also had a defensive stop in the second quarter on the next to last possession. Of course, the clock stopped the Knights on the last possession, so a little bit of defensive momentum as well.
Nesbitt and Stahl to receive the kick. This is Stahl from the 13. And Jeremiah heads up the middle. He's out to the 29-yard line. That's where the Cougars will start. 16-yard return for Jeremiah Stahl.
And Stahl did what you want to see a kick returner do. On kickoff returns, you want to just get going right away. Sometimes on a punt, it might take a little dance or a juke to try and free something up. But with a kickoff, you want to start upfield as soon as possible, and that's what he did.
Yeah, just get it and go on the kick. On a punt, the coverage is there a lot faster than on a kickoff. This is Stahl after the pitch. Spins free, still moving the feet. And he's out to the 31-yard line. A pickup of 2 yards for Jeremiah Stahl. Came into the game averaging 5.5 yards per carry.
And, you know, with all the big hosses, we talk about them running the ball. A lot of those guys turn around and play linebacker. You can see Stahl got past the first line of tacklers there, and then he got punished for it as those big linebackers came up and got him.
Yeah, Catoctin dressing just about 20 players tonight. They have 4 players out with injuries this evening. This is Stahl again. He found a seam, and he's out to the 37-yard line.
He was one step away from breaking that a lot farther downfield. Looks like it was Williams that might have tripped him up. You can see he starts right and then sees the hole open up the middle, cuts it back.
Fritz there to make the tackle.
Fritz it was.
So good looking run there for about 7 yards. 3rd down and 2 for the Cougars from their own 37. Straight ahead, probably Seidel under that pile. And Seidel's probably a yard short of the first down. We'll see what the Cougars do here.
Now, if I would guess that they would kick it. You can see they're trying to just jam it up the middle and get the first down. Still a little early. Should be giving the Knights a good field position again if you don't make it. But looks like they're going to line up and run the offense, figuring down 28-0. See what you can do.
Yeah, 4th and about a yard. Seidel again, and I don't think he got it.
Not from that spot. He might have even lost yardage.
So Middletown will take over at the 37, but got to take some chances sometimes.
Well, really, at this point, I mean, 1 first down, and you don't want to give the ball to Middletown with an extra short field here at about the 37. But again, I mean, try and get some momentum whenever you can find it, and maybe there would have been some on a 4th down make.
Earp still in at the QB position with his team leading 28-0. Start of the second half. First possession for Middletown. Sam Williams spins down to the 35. Gain of 3.
You see Williams just looks almost like a lineman when he's carrying the ball, and you can see him straight ahead, first contact, and he still falls forward for a little bit. And it's always nice with football. After the play, his face ends up in the armpit of a tackler.
2nd down.
If you have that number, please go to the concession stand.
Little trouble on the exchange. Earp has to keep it. Trying to get the corner, and he's upended. Good looking hit there by Forrest as he upended Earp after a loss of a couple of yards.
You can see Fritz there with the play action, and then he's going to keep it himself. That time it's Seidel that forces him to cut it outside, and you can see Earp decides to leave his feet, and Forrest kind of helps him.
Forrest quite a hitter.
He's been in a lot of the highlight hits.
He's had a number of good sticks tonight. 3rd down and about 5. Earp rolling left, fires left side. Completed once again. And a heck of a hit there after Chris Cook made the catch for the first down.
Well, Cook went to get up right away, and I was going to be surprised if the way he got hit that he would stand right up. Just got blasted right in the middle. You can see Earp rolls, has time, just flips it out there. A little wobble to it, and you can see Cook makes the catch and takes a shoulder right there, and I think that was Forrest again.
What a hit. And Cook still down at the 21-yard line. So 1st down reception for Chris Cook, but he paid dearly for it.
You see that ball's in the air, and he's looking back, has to reach back to get it, and wham, just takes it right in the ribs. I think that was, again, Forrest that got him. I mean, nothing dirty about the hit at all. I mean, he was just extended, and he didn't get speared with a helmet. He just took a shoulder pad right into the midsection.
So a player down with 8:55 remaining third quarter, 28-0 to score. And Forrest has applied a number of hits. He's 5'10", 150 pounds.
We had
playing like a much bigger player.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is to say for the Cougars that they've been on defense so much that he's had the opportunity to make some hits.
Those are the type of hits you see college players making.
We had Earp 6 of 6 for 66 yards in the first half.
Don't tell me he's 7 of 7 for 70.
Well, I have that as an 11-yard pickup from the 32 to the 21. So
there's it again as Cook is.
You can see the impact drove him off his feet.
Cook is up and walking under his own power with Coach Tim Ambrose.
Hey, Chris, what day is it? 4.
Yeah. So he appears to be okay, and that's good news. So first down for the Knights at the 21. Lee Palmer is out to the right side. And now the Knights will huddle up again.
Palmer listed at 5'6", 150. He had the touchdown catch earlier. You can see him. He's standing there in the huddle, and he's got all these big bruisers around him. He's almost lost in the huddle. You see him comes out to the near side, Palmer.
And Lavely is wide left. The big guys, Costello and Williams, behind the QB Earp. Sam Williams. Williams going for pay dirt. He's there. Sam Williams with a 21-yard TD run, his second touchdown of the night.
Well, Williams that time, he's another big guy, but again, they went largely untouched into the end zone. The holes there have been there all night, and whether it's been right or left, inside or outside.
He's up to about 75 yards rushing now and 2 TDs. Zach Denton on for the extra points. $35-0 Middletown. And now the clock will continue to run. And high school football, once the team gets a 35-point lead, the clock continues to roll. So that's the situation we're in right now.
See, Earp is just going to turn and give to the second back through. And again, you can see the downfield blocking by his lineman getting out in front of him as Josh Strite picks up a block from Palmer there, and just a couple of incidental touches on the way to the end zone.
And look who was there right at the last second before he got into pay dirt. Forrest trying to make the stop.
Now, Forrest, fighters put little notches on their fuselage of their plane when they score hits in combat. Forrest has a couple of those tonight.
Well, however they do it, stars on the helmets or whatever, he's got a lot racked up this evening with some big hits. So the Knights with 5 TDs tonight. They've only been stopped one time by the Middletown defense and one time by the clock at the intermission.
I remember I went to high school in Harford County and graduated '87. There was no such thing as the running clock rule. And I don't know how the players feel about it, but I think in general it's a pretty good rule. It only takes effect in the second half. I think it saves possible injuries, and it saves coaches from having to deciding whether to go for another score to make it 58 or something. But again, there's still a lot of time left, and not saying that Catoctin is going to come back and score 40 points and take the lead, but get some positivity. Maybe get something on the board. The season's still barely just got underway, and there's 7 games left.
Exactly. Get some momentum for next week. Nisbet from the 10. He lost control of the ball, picked it back up. And Nisbet out across the 20-yard line. So they made a nice recovery there after fumbling the ball initially.
Occasionally you'll see on a play like that where a kickoff is muffed that'll sometimes lead to a return because the defense gets out of its lanes. You see, maybe he wasn't quite sure whether he was going to take it or Stoll might take it. He picks it up, and by that time the defense is closed in. Lavely, one of the guys there to help take him down, along with Zach Denton.
So Denton, the kicker, in on the stop. Usually that happens way down the field. So the Cougars keeping it on the ground. And Stahl picks up a couple of yards off the right side of the line. Following the blocks of number 56, James Bradfield.
You can see not only a little bit of a size advantage, but you can see some strength there when the Middletown players had Stahl by the jersey, and he was trying to twist away and couldn't quite do it. He did eventually, but the effort kind of took him to the ground.
2nd down and 8. Nisbet looks to throw. Fires incomplete. So Nisbet with no time to throw on that one. He had to scramble out of the pocket. Nobody downfield.
Well, that's a good dump. Not going to be intercepted. Jenkins was in the general zip code, so he wouldn't be called for grounding. You can see he tucks it on his hip here, but the pressure is there. He doesn't get time to set, and at this point, you're just trying to unload it so you don't take a sack. And he does a good job of throwing it out of bounds, so it can't be an interception.
Very smart play instead of trying to force it. Even saw an NFL quarterback, Trent Dilfer, on a play like that when he actually stepped out of bounds and tried to throw the ball down the field. And it got intercepted.
I don't know. I don't look like there might have been another exchange there. In fact, I think Middletown gets the ball out of this. There was.
They didn't see that. They didn't understand that. So our Lord sent, I think.
Ball came popping out, and the Knights got it.
The Knights have it at the 24 on the fumble recovery. Difficult to tell a lot of times where the ball is with Catoctin because they run that double wing. They don't have any receivers spread out, so all 11 players right there bunched up at the line, and it's kind of like a rugby scrum. Middletown again with big yardage on the ground. Ryan Fritz was the ball carrier that time, down to the 15.
And you can see Fritz get some help up from Costello, and Williams is in there as well. And there's 3 guys, 3 numbers in a row, 43, 4, and 5, and it seems like they've been involved in just about everything good.
2nd down and 1, just outside the 15 for Middletown. Earp with a handoff to Costello. He surges forward to about the 14, a pickup of 2. He'll be very close to a first down.
Looks like from that spot he's got it. So the change, you can see the replay. Kind of gets a lead block from Fritz that time, and he does have enough for the first down. As you can see, several Cougars combining on the stop.
So the chains are moved. A new set of downs for Middletown. 3.5 minutes remaining in the 3rd, and the Knights are driving again. Fumble on the exchange, and Earp pitches to Costello, and he's knocked down at the 11. So Costello and Earp made something out of nothing. Stahl had Earp's number here after the fumble on the exchange.
Yeah, he dragged him down, and I don't know who got up.
That was close again to having the knee down.
Yeah, and you can see a big hit there delivered by the tight end slash defensive end Jenkins.
Now, Jenkins normally an inside linebacker, but due to injuries, he's playing defensive end tonight and doing a fine job for the Cougars. Timeout is called before the play's inception. So the Cougars burn a timeout with 2:58 left to play in the 3rd.
Well, that's evidence of the running clock, because we've just barely had a couple of possessions here in the second half, and already down to 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
So the Cougars take a break with 2:58 remaining, and they trail 35-0. Only 1 touchdown so far in the second half. It was run in by Sam Williams for Middletown from 21 yards away.
That's a little bit of an example of how consistent their offense has been. It hasn't been 80 and 90-yard touchdown plays. They just march downfield 10, 12 yards at a time, and we've seen a lot of the touchdowns are in that 10 to 15-yard range, and of course now the one for 21, not much farther.
Yeah, only 1 touchdown play of 20 yards or more. That last run by Sam Williams. TDs have been from 8 yards, 3 yards, 15 yards, and 16 yards. The Knights are ready. Cougars come back onto the field. 2nd down and 7 from the 11-yard line. Fake. Earp fires left side. Incomplete. That's the first incomplete pass. It was intended for Ryan Chandler.
Well, and I think there was a mix-up. Looks like he was throwing a corner and the receiver was cutting it inside. You can see, unless he was just unloading it to avoid the interception, but it looks like he's throwing for the corner, and his receiver had taken a step toward the middle.
Good coverage by Nesbitt on the play as he doubles as a defensive back, and was also the quarterback on the offensive side of the ball for Catoctin. 3rd down and 7. Earp hands it off up the middle. Fritz, touchdown Knights. Ryan Fritz scores for the first time tonight, an 11-yard touchdown run. 4th TD on the ground for Middletown.
Yeah, and they've scored a lot of different ways, and this one just kind of an up the middle kind of play on 3rd and fairly long. And again, and just another situation where the fullback, or even if it's a second back through, they're all pretty big guys. They're not having a hand laid on them at the line of scrimmage, and they get a chance, like you mentioned earlier, Jeff, they get up ahead of steam. And, you know, there have been guys like Forrest who have been throwing themselves in the way of some of these big guys, but more often than not, they haven't been touched.
Maine holds, Denton kicks. 42-0. The Middletown kicking game has been solid as well. 6 of 6 in extra points. Zach Denton has converted on 5 of 5.
And again, we see the depth come into play here. We've been calling the same names all night for Catoctin, both offense and defense. And you can see there is Fritz, just pretty fresh. And once he gets past about the first 3 yards, the last 8 are without defenders. And you see Williams has carried the ball. Fritz, Costello, Moore had some carries earlier on. They've just got fresh bodies to keep pounding at some weary defenders.
Catoctin with low numbers. Dress about 20 players. You have a couple of injuries, and that equals a lot of guys playing on both sides of the ball, which leads to fatigue late in the game.
And down inside of 25 seconds now as the clock continues to run. We'll see if they actually get this kick off in the 3rd quarter.
About 40 seconds remaining in the quarter.
I read my backwards 5 as 2.
And trapped by Nesbitt at the 17. So that's where the Cougars will start. And that'll take us to the 4th quarter. Middletown with 2 more scores. After 3, they lead Catoctin 42-0. Control of this game as we start the 4th quarter. Many different weapons for the Knights tonight. 5 different players have scored touchdowns. The latest was an 11-yard TD run by Ryan Fritz. Sam Williams, the only multiple touchdown player for Middletown with 2 touchdown runs. Williams 74 yards rushing, and DJ Costello of Middletown with 118 on the ground. Nice pass by Nesbitt to Forrest, and he's tripped up at the 24-yard line. Tackle made there by the Knights by Nathan Cridler. So the first completion for Nesbitt, and on all of his pass attempts, he's looked pretty good. He's got a nice tight spiral. When he has time, he can throw the ball.
Yeah, and they haven't chosen to throw, obviously, very much to this point. You can see, just gets out there. I don't know if that might have gotten tipped or not, but either way, it ended up in Forrest's hands. And you can see Forrest, he goes down there and he slaps the ground in frustration. He wanted to try and shake that.
2nd and 2. This is Forrest. Has some room on the left side, and he rambles out close to a first down near the 27-yard line.
But credit Forrest with not giving up in any way, shape, or form.
And it is a first down for Catoctin.
2nd of the ball game. First came on Seidel's 19-yard run back in the 2nd quarter.
Again, Nesbitt. He cranks it deep, looking for Forrest. And he nearly made the catch at midfield. A big hit by Maine. And Forrest stretched out for that one and almost came up with it.
Yeah, it did, and Maine ended up with the ball on the ground, but I think it was just out of bounds incomplete. You can see Nesbitt just gives it a heave. Forrest has to adjust, looks up, and Maine gets there at the same time. You can see he breaks it up, but like you said, Jeff, out of bounds.
Good looking pass again by Nesbitt. He's got a pretty strong arm.
Well, the double wing offense in the wing tee, which is very close to it, they're predicated on establishing the run, and it's tough to throw much once you get down a couple of scores.
The reverse, this is Forrest. Room outside. And Fritz finally brings him down, but not before Forrest is down to the 47 of Middletown. So a big run there.
I'm sure it's been said before, Jeff, but run, Forrest, run.
Yeah, 25 yards on that play.
You can see the double handoff. Stahl gets it first. Forrest, you can see with the pursuit going left, he goes back right. There's elusiveness. Gets him around the corner on that side, and finally, Fritz is going to help knock him down, but not until after a big pickup.
Yeah, and Fritz chased him for about the last 20 yards of that run. He just kept going and finally got to him. First down for the Cougars. And Seidel tripped up down at the 40. A 7-yard pickup. So Catoctin getting the running game going now. 32 yards on the last 2 runs.
Well, and you might say that with the running clock in the fourth quarter, but we can still see it's a lot of starters that are on the field for the Knights. You see Forrest goes in motion. Instead, first back, Seidel gets it left side. Gets shouldered to the ground there, but good power moving forward through the tackle for a few more.
Quick burst for Seidel after he got through the seam. Second down and 3. Keeper, Nesbitt, first down.
Brad Nesbitt on the keeper.
You can see Forrest getting up slowly after that play. He was out there again trying to throw a lead block, and looks like he's holding his right arm. So you turn, play fake, gives time for Forrest to get out there and give a lead block, and that he does. And look, he just knocks that defender back a couple of yards, and that is enough. I think that was Lavely he knocked back, but there's enough to get just a few more yards.
It looks like they may want to measure this one.
Yeah, that's very close, right along our line of sight.
Oh,
They're
penalty.
going to walk it off, yeah. It's a 15-yarder.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I didn't catch the signal. I didn't even see the flag thrown in late.
Kind of personal foul.
Of course, in high school, we're not going to get a number, so tough to tell after the fact who it might have been.
It would have been a first down.
Yeah, I was watching Forrest deliver a nice block.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking for the flag.
So back in Catoctin territory, so a tough break for the Cougars there. Ball back at the 49-yard line of Catoctin. 15-yard penalty for the personal foul.
Now the marker says first, but I think it should still be. Okay, they're giving him to the spot of the run. Then they're saying whatever the foul was happened after the first down was achieved, so it'll be 1st and 10.
See if we can see something here.
See, again, there's Forrest block. There's the tackle out of bounds. Now let's see if something, well, might have been, it had to be something that was after the play.
Yeah, maybe some extracurricular. Nesbitt to fire again. Right side looking for Forrest. He made the play at the 32-yard line. He held on after juggling it, and he stayed in bounds.
You can see he's getting some congratulations from his teammates. Again, Nesbitt drops, looking for Forrest all the way. He's been a key guy here in the fourth quarter. Just shakes a defender. The safety can't rotate over Maine quite enough, and you can see the dance there, and he gets his feet down. He was a juggler and a dancer.
Yeah, he can do it all. And Nesbitt continues to impress with that strong arm. First down, Cougars. Not much there. Seidel for maybe a yard.
Well, we've seen, though, for the Cougars here, their first kind of extended movement of the ball. And again, it bears noting that there's still a lot of first-team defenders from Middletown in there. So here's some positives that the Cougars were looking for.
The Cougars have put together a couple of first downs.
And unless we're in the CFL, we can't have that many guys moving at once.
No.
Legal procedure against Cougars.
So that'll be a 5-yard penalty for illegal procedure.
Clock stops for just a moment for the ball to be moved. And again, whereas normally it would be running, starts up again.
2nd down and 14 from the Middletown 37. Nesbitt to throw. Wheels it out left side, intended for Forrest again, incomplete. Completely on the coverage.
And why not look to Forrest with some of the plays he's been making lately? That's a tough throw, though. You throw it 35 yards laterally across the field to only throw it upfield about 5 or 6 yards. A lot of bad things can happen. There's several defenders that can step in and maybe run the other way a long way with it. So sometimes on that kind of flare out, an incomplete isn't the worst thing that could happen.
And again, too much movement for the Cougars. Procedure will cost them 5 more yards.
Now, 2 flags flew on this one from the referee here on the near side and one from the judge in the offensive backfield.
So it'll be 3rd down and 19.
This might be a play where we might see some kind of draw or something. Again, the double wing doesn't really provide for splitting wide receivers out very much to either side. Everybody's jammed in tight.
Nesbitt on the keeper after the fake to Seidel. He didn't fool Chris Cook. So Cook, who was shaken up earlier, gets his revenge.
That's right. He says, "Pop me, will you? I'm going to make a big play here," and that's going to bring up 4th and very long. Of course, he also had some help as he comes up support-wise, chasing from the backside of the play. And the reason he was able to get there is the end on that side, who sniffed out the play, Jamie Dillon, who's been in a lot of plays as well. He had the containment.
So 4th down, and the Cougars will go for it. 4th and 23. Nesbitt to throw. Looking deep for Forrest again, and broken up. Good play by Maine to break up the play.
That was one of those plays where the offensive receiver actually kind of comes defensive back in a sense that the pass is more thrown near the safety who's coming over. You can see the ball is up in the airways, and you can see Forrest is just going to kind of run through the ball. If Maine was going to have to reach down and pick it up, he was going to get an armful.
We have offsetting penalties on that 4th down play. So see what the officials sort out.
Looks like maybe a platoon change coming on for the Cougars. I don't know if this would mean punt. Oh, it could mean just defense. How about that?
Yeah. So Middletown will get it.
Thought offsetting penalties was replay of the down.
Maybe everybody declined it.
Well, it could have been maybe just that it was actually flag only on the Cougars, and then it was declined on the incomplete on 4th down.
And now a timeout is called with 5:12 remaining in the game. Middletown in control of the game as they look for their 3rd win of the season and 2nd in the MVAL. And they've had quite a string of victories against MVAL teams. 21 straight regular season wins. 9 of 11 league games they've shut out the opponent. So Middletown dominating in the MVAL.
Those are almost cartoonish numbers. I mean, you expect a shutout here and there from a good defensive team, but you don't expect 80 or 90% of your wins in a certain category to be shutouts.
Those are in the league. And Catoctin hasn't been shut out since 1995 by a team other than Middletown.
That's when you know you're good, is when the qualifier to a statement is "except for you."
Right.
Either you're very good or you're very bad, and in this case it's very good.
1st down for the Knights. New QB in the game, it's Maine. Same old thing though with the running back Costello down to the 36. So the fourth quarterback for Middletown is Mark Maine. He's moved up, elevated to the second string quarterback behind Jake Gerp due to the injuries to Ambrose and Richard Wiles.
You can see Nesbitt comes up there, and again, he's just giving up too much weight. Ball carrier around 220, Nesbitt at, well, 150 or so on a good day. And he's just, I mean, that's just too big a size advantage when that guy's got a full head of steam.
So Costello with over 130 yards rushing now. Here he goes again, still on his feet, and he tumbles down to the 32. Gain of 5 for DJ Costello. Now close to 140 yards on the ground for him.
You know, interesting, obviously, with the lead, that Middletown is going to concentrate on some of those bigger backs. They're a little less likely to fumble, and they can just overpower some of the smaller defenders. But we saw Brian Moore carry the ball several times earlier very effectively, and we haven't seen him carry again. I don't know if he's out with an injury or not.
Get your popcorn. Half price at the concession stand. Popcorn.
Costello again with good yardage and a good tackle by Ryan Ripien for Catoctin.
You see the Chains gang again moving it. Just a straight dash off the left side, and Ripien trips him up. And the defensive back that was coming up to help on that play was mighty glad that he did get tripped up. He couldn't square his shoulders.
Yeah, you might be right about Moore. I don't see him anywhere on the sideline. This is Sam Williams. Williams inside the 20.
And again, the clock just moving as Middletown very content, despite the fact that Earp has thrown the ball very well. At this point, there's not really much need to throw it. You see the first back through gets it. Stull again there on the end of that tackle, also Seidel.
Second down and about 4 for the Knights. Costello breaking tackles, and he rambles inside the 10. A first down for the Knights. Nothing fancy, just straight handoffs.
Well, at this point, if you're Middletown, you know, maybe some things you're concerned about. As you can see, Costello again, this time a little bit of contact at the line, but not much, and it's going to take 3 or 4 guys to bring him down, including John Little. But you want to stay healthy. I mean, you know, if you try to do a lot of fancy stuff, you might get someone hurt. You want to escape healthy because the win's not in question anymore.
They've had enough injuries already with the 2 quarterbacks, top 2 QBs going down. Costello again tiptoes his way down to the 4. Gain of 5 yards. Jared Ambrose, the number 1 quarterback who was injured on the first series in the game against Thomas Johnson, will have surgery to repair that ACL on Monday. And then he'll have a lot of rehab ahead of him.
Got to be a tough thing as you get into your senior year and you really have a lot of hopes and dreams. But again, a guy who probably will be playing on Saturdays sometime in the future.
And a good tackle there in the open field by Stull to save a touchdown as Maine was headed for pay dirt.
Again, and Stull and Forrest are the 2 guys we've called their names a lot, and you've got to credit them. I mean, this guy's not giving up, fights off the block, and just dashes out to knock down Maine.
That was a heck of a play.
I mean, Stull at 155 or 160 or whatever he is, he's lined up down. He's going to do it again maybe here. He's going to line up as a linebacker on this play, but he's been getting knocked around and stays with it.
And there's the touchdown run on 3rd down by DJ Costello.
Well, Costello gets in the end zone under a minute left. Now I guess 5 rushing touchdowns for the Knights, 2 through the air.
2 for Costello, that one from 4 yards out. He also had a 15-yard run earlier. And that may be it. They may have just enough time for an extra point, and that should do it. So Zach Denton on. Clock winding down to about 25 seconds. And now the pass. They almost got to 2. They were looking for Costello. Maine, the holder, is also the second-string quarterback. And that'll be it.
Clock keeps on moving.
So Middletown won last year's game 45-0, and this year they win it 48-0 over the Catoctin Cougars. A dominant performance by the Knights as they scored 7 times, twice through the air, and 5 TD runs. Sam Williams and DJ Costello each with a pair of touchdown runs. Lavely and Palmer caught TD passes, and Ryan Fritz had an 11-yard TD run for the Knights. So a dominant performance, over 200 yards on the ground, and a excellent job done by Jake Earp, the quarterback, who surprised us by throwing the ball 8 times and completing 7 for 2 TDs.
Right, and the key was a lot of those were early on when the game could still have gone either way. Key situations. First drive, he culminates that with a touchdown pass. I'm sure that Middletown still would rather have their top 2 guys around and with that senior leadership, but if you're going to be thrown into a situation where the third stringer plays, you can't be anything but happy with what they saw tonight.
So that'll do it from Catoctin High School in Thurmont, Maryland. Join us again next week for another high school football game, as Jake Holmes will join me at that time. We'd like to thank Chris Strovel for being with us. Chris, we really appreciate your efforts, and we'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jeff. Lots of fun.
All right, that wraps it up. The final, Middletown 48, Catoctin 0. Good night, everyone.